Cold Hollow was a place forgotten by time. Nestled deep in the backwoods of northern Maine, it wasn't even on most maps. A town with a population of just under 300, where generations lived and died on the same land, and secrets festered like rot beneath the snow-covered soil. But what happened on November 19, 2014, shattered the town's silence forever. It would become one of the most horrific mass killings in New England history, an event that turned Cold Hollow into a name whispered in fear across the country. A crime so savage, so orchestrated and evil, that investigators, clergy, and psychologists alike struggled to make sense of it. This is the story of the Gallow's Grin, a 20-minute descent into the abyss. Cold Hollow had no traffic lights, just a diner, a general store, a decaying church, and a small public school. Winters lasted 8 months. Isolation was routine. Outsiders rarely stayed long. It was a place where people kept to themselves, where history lingered in whispers, and where the past had teeth. For decades, the town harbored legends, rumors of disappearances, pagan symbols in the forest, a priest who went mad in the 80s. But no one could prove anything, until someone did. Darren Vale was a recluse, a war veteran with shrapnel in his spine and shadows in his eyes. He'd moved to the outskirts of Cold Hollow in 2002 and built a cabin deep in the woods, far from the town's main road. No one really knew him, but they tolerated him. He was quiet, paid in cash, grew his own food, occasionally came to town for diesel and canned meat. But in early 2014, Darren stopped coming altogether. Strange things began happening soon after. Dogs went missing. Hunters reported gutted deer arranged in geometric patterns. Teenagers claimed they saw lights deep in the woods, followed by chanting. But the sheriff chalked it up to stories and hysteria until the school bus went missing. On November 19th, a bus carrying 12 students and one driver vanished without a trace during its morning route. There was no snow, no foul weather, just silence. Search parties scoured the forest for days. Helicopters flew overhead. FBI agents were called in, but no sign of the bus or the children was found. Until day 7, that's when they discovered the clearing. About 14 miles from Darren Vale's cabin, a search team stumbled onto something unspeakable. A ring of charred tree stumps, animal bones arranged in spirals, and in the center, a massive stone slab covered in blood. On it were fragments of school uniforms, teeth, and symbols scorched into the rock. Hidden beneath the slab was a trapdoor. When agents opened it, they found a staircase descending into darkness. What lay below would scar even the most seasoned investigators. Beneath the earth was a labyrinth of hand-dug tunnels. The walls were etched with drawings, scenes of torment, crucifixion, fire, and unrecognizable beasts. There were jars filled with preserved body parts, audio recordings of children screaming, and worst of all, handwritten journals. Darren had written everything down, in detail, pages and pages of what he called the cleansing. He believed he was chosen by the mouth of ash, an ancient entity buried beneath Cold Hollow. The journals documented rituals, descriptions of each child, how they cried, how he prepared them, and what he believed he was freeing them from. Authorities found a final room, a crude wooden chair, shackles, and 7 skulls. But the horror didn't end there, because as investigators dug deeper, they discovered something even more chilling. Darren hadn't acted alone. Tucked within his journals were receipts, signatures, names of townsfolk who had donated, items, money, even names of children. Cold Hollow had secrets indeed. A cult had been brewing in its bones for decades. Descendants of the original settlers who believed in blood sacrifices to keep the town protected from an old evil that lived beneath the ground. Over 14 arrests were made in the following weeks, including the town sheriff, the school principal, and the local pastor. In January 2015, a video surfaced from Darren Vale's hard drive. It showed the final ritual. The last girl, 9 years old. Her name was Abigail Rose. She'd been missing for weeks. The video was never released to the public, but those who viewed it, agents, prosecutors, even hardened forensic pathologists, reported nightmares, psychological breakdowns, and in one case, suicide. The footage ends with Darren looking into the camera, whispering. They scream so sweetly when a mouth opens. And it always opens if you feed it right. He smiles, a crooked, unnatural grin, then cuts the tape. Cold Hollow no longer exists. 2 months after the arrests, the town mysteriously caught fire in the middle of the night. Every building, every home, burned to the ground. No one claimed responsibility. No accelerants were found. Just a charred wasteland where a town once stood. Survivors, those who testified, either vanished, died by suicide, or were institutionalized. Only a few remain, and they refuse to speak of what they saw. To this day, hikers in northern Maine report finding odd symbols carved into trees. Some say they hear children sobbing deep in the woods, and others swear they've seen a man with a twisted smile standing just at the edge of the tree line, waiting because the mouth, they say, never really closed.